Hello, my name is Hunter Bannock, and today I'll be giving a speech about evidence within speeches. Although many of my professors and instructors in my life have stated that a person's personal experiences and/or knowledge isn't proper evidence to support a claim in a speech, I tend to sit on the other side of the fence. A person could have read all the books they want. However, it is shown time after time in the work environment that experience is oftentimes one of a person's greatest tools. This being said, why can't a person's experience carry into a speech as evidence? A person can read as many books as they want, but at the end of the day, they're missing out on the emotion within the book. They're missing out on the experience. A person that has experience, let's say for example, in a tornado, can offer greater evidence than a person who's seen the movie Twister. Therefore, a person's personal experience and knowledge is the best evidence as opposed to a library or general online sources like that kind of stuff. When giving a speech, the audience will oftentimes connect with a story or an experience better than a quote from a book that isn't always warranted very well. For example, during this speech, what if I told you that in a previous speech, a member of the audience walked up to me after the speech and explained that he had a similar experience to me, to the one that I shared within that speech. What if I then told you that in a separate speech, completely different day, different place, a person walked up after my speech and told me that they completely connected to my line from, let's say, Shakespeare, and they knew exactly where it was and exactly what play it was from. And then I were to tell you, one of these stories is true. One of these experiences that I had after a speech is true. My guess is that you would go back and you would think that the person that connected with the story was true. You would believe that more. The truth is that a personal experience is easier to connect with. Therefore, they're easier for the speaker to warrant, easier for the audience to understand. Because of this, it is better evidence than trying to fight a claim with a traditional library or online source. Library sources are hard to connect with, such as like books, encyclopedias, journals, documentaries. They're hard to understand, hard to connect with a lot of times. Evidence should be delivered in a format that's easy to understand. It connects with the audience. This creates a better argument in the long run. Beyond connection, the library sources can be outdated. Books have been around for thousands of years. Much of what they say isn't always relevant. When searching for evidence to make a point, books don't always provide stone-cold facts, and they almost never provide easily connectable, up-to-date stone-cold facts. Online sources are a whole different challenge. Films, online journals, blogs, ebooks, other forms of online sources can nearly never be trusted. Wikipedia, one of the world's most used sources and online sites, isn't credible. When was the last time you were wondering something? You're like, oh man, I wonder how many movies Johnny Depp's played in. You go and look it up. Wikipedia tells you, I don't know, 14. That source isn't credible. It's an online public source that it's online. It's not credible. You can't believe everything you read on the internet. Films, Hollywood always taints the truth within films. If you're watching a based on a true story, it's based on a true story. It's not necessarily a true story. Blogs are full of random stuff. They're not necessarily credible either. This being said, it's hard to find a dependable source online. Chances are, if you're speaking to an audience, they're listening to you. And if they're listening to you, they have a bit of trust. Just a slight bit of trust, at least, in what you're saying. Therefore, if a speaker tells a story, if you tell a story as a speaker, then your audience is most likely going to believe your story instead of at the beginning of the story throwing your ideas out and just not listening to your ideas. In the end, personal experiences are perfect evidence. Heck, interviews, diaries, the Diary of Anne Frank, one of the most read diaries in the world, they're great forms of evidence. We get a lot of information through the Diary of Anne Frank based off to explain what happened during the Holocaust and stuff. In the end, because of what people do with interviews and diaries and how we view online and books, why can't you use public sources within a speech? Why can't you use personal experience and knowledge within a speech to create evidence? Seems perfectly fine to me.